Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight, it is Brett the Jet here in the booth with Turn 3 Racing Network, bringing you the Riptide Radio Next Gen 802 Cup Series. Riptide Radio, of course, is the sounds of the salt, sand, and sea, broadcasting from Ocean Drive, South Carolina. Free to download for best in Carolina beach and boogie music, especially if you're down in that area. Check them on out and get your boogie on. Tonight, we will see the drivers take on the Lady in Black. That is right. We head down to Darlington Speedway to kick off the playoffs. We have everyone tied in points except for the top three. Steve Ritter picking up 2 wins so far this season. He has a 2-point advantage. Then 4-point advantage going to John Ross with 4 wins. And then leading the points here tonight will be Kenny Reel. So a lot to keep in the back of our minds as we get ready for qualifying, because you do not want to start the playoffs on that back foot. Come out here, have a bad race, get in, do some trouble, have the Lady in Black come out and bite you. We'll just have to see how it can shake on out. But I tell you what, if I'm in the driver's shoes, got to keep mistakes to a minimum. As we head on over, take a look at some practice times here in the final minute. John Ross sits at the top of the board in that 44 machine. Then about 100th back, we have the 16 of Steve Ritter, AJ Cawthon third, Frank Zingen in the 62 machine fourth, and then Rob Lowell rounds out the top 5. So we will have to see how this shakes on out as we get ready for qualifying. So we'll be right back. I'm going to take a second break and we'll come right back with qualifying. Alrighty, folks, coming back here with qualifying, we will take a look at one of those top guys. How about the top guy in points right now? We'll take a look at the 24 machine of Kenny Reel as we see the DuPont 24 really warming up those tires, getting those things up to temp. So we will have to see if that will make a difference. But we'll take a look at the points leader here coming into the playoffs. Reel off of turn number 4 here. He will see the green flag, so the 24 DuPont machine is on the clock. He'll dive it into turn number 1, and as you can tell, I'm sure you hear it a lot, but you'll hear it again here tonight. 2 very different, distinct ends here at the Darlington Speedway, so drivers having to navigate that, handle how their driving style, how they have to drive it differently. And then especially off of turn number 2. I mean, turn number 4 is no cakewalk, but turn number 2, these drivers are going to have to keep these cars away from that wall and try and run the best they can without clobbering it, because once you hit it, you can say goodbye to the handling of the race car. Right now, Kenny Reel, lap number 1, slowest of everyone so far. Just kidding, as someone else does a little slower. Reel good enough for a 30.58 lap number 1. Quick time at the top though, a 30.08. That being done by the 44 of John Ross. This lap looks a little bit better for the 24 machine. Yes, it is good enough for a 30.24. So that puts Reel all the way up to P number 2. We take a look here at the 13 Chevy Camaro. This is Jason Wiley Wiley out here getting ready to go on the clock. We will have to see what he can do, as Wiley, lap number 1, good enough for a 30.73. That will not be enough, as he's going to look for some more lap number 2. We have seen quite a few guys go for faster laps in lap number 2, so Wiley going to try and be one of those guys. 3 and 4 for the final time for the number 13 machine. Off of turn number 4, Jason Wiley will see the checker flag. We'll keep an eye on the scoring tower, see he does improve. Will find himself now a little bit safer inside the top 10, because we still have quite a few cars have not taken a lap, one of them being this 47 machine. Got to talk to him a lot the first couple weeks. Gravala feels like he's pretty ready for these playoffs, so we'll see what the 47 machine can do. But I believe Gravala not racing for a championship this time around, so he's gonna, looks like, reset this lap and give it another go. As Gravala, remember, jumping in mid-season, so we will have to see. Sorry, he did complete his lap. Good enough for P number 4, as we finally take a look at the timing tower. It looks like most people just run in laps, so drum roll please. With the quick time and BG Graphics Pole Awards for the first time in the playoffs here for this season, we'll go to the number 44 machine. That being, of course, piloted by John Ross. So Ross starting off here with qualifying with a statement. We'll have to, let's see if we can get a word with old John Ross, see what he's thinking about this car here. Hey, John, you got a copy? It's Brett Jet in the booth here.
I got it. I got you.
Alrighty, man. Well, starting off the playoffs with the BG Graphics Pole Award, how's the 44 machine feeling?
It feels good. I did some practice on a little bit hotter track, so it feels like we've got some grip. You know, we're gonna find out in about 15, 20 laps, really how the cars will handle. They want to push right in the center of 3 and 4, but so far it feels pretty good. Steve, it looks like he's right there with me. So usual suspects up front here. It's gonna be pretty fun.
Alrighty, man. Yeah, it should be it. It's going to be a blast to watch. Darlington always puts on a good show. Well, before we let you rock and roll and get in the car, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, just my teammates. We're all in the chat, the Wild Man crew. So Leroy, Joseph, and Christian, they're in there with me tonight. So give a shout out to them, and let's see if we can put on a show for you.
Alrighty, I hope so. John, best of luck to you. Have the best seat in the house, leading them to green.
Yep, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Alrighty, that was John Ross picking up the BG Graphics pole here tonight, as let's get over to trackside and run through tonight's starting grid. Leading the field to the green, we just got done talking to him. It's the 44 machine of John Ross. To his outside will be the number 16, that being piloted by Steve Ritter. Then row number 2 to the inside is the 62 machine of Frank Zingen. Then to his outside, the 47 of Joseph Gravala. Then out in the P number 5 spot, it is the 24 of Kenny Reel. To his outside, the 82 of Nick Larson will roll off 6th. 7th going to Christian Delgado in the 31. 8th will be the 21 of Rob Lowell. 9th is Leroy Cobblenets in the 43 machine. Rounding out the top 10, we'll go to the 13 Chevy Camaro of Jason Wiley. 11th is the 51 machine of Dalton Powell. To his outside, rolling off 12th will be AJ Cawthon in that number 25 machine. Then rolling off P number 13 is Brandon Guerin in that number 4 machine. Nate Coletta in the 5 will roll off 14. 15th will be the 9 machine of Jeff Barefoot. 16th going to Ariba Canton in the 30, with Dave Farella in the 52 rolling off 17th. Then starting shotgun on the field tonight will be that 6 of Johnny Barker. Lights are out on the Speedway, so you know what that time it is, race fans. we are going to go green flag racing. 120 laps the scheduled distance here tonight. As we get ready to rock and roll, the iRacing pace car ducks down pit road. John Ross in command of the field. He will wait till the restart zone here. And John Ross waiting, jumping on the loud pedal. We go green flag racing and playoff racing for the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series. Diving down into turn number 1, Ritter will find a spot in front of Gravala. They will single file out for the top 4. First one side by side. Kenny Reel, Nick Larson will go off turn number 2. One car already hard in the wall. I believe that was Rob Lowell in that 21 machine getting a big piece of it early. That is not how you wanted to start here tonight. So lap number 2 in the books here. Ross leading the way over Ritter. Lowell not losing any spots at the moment, so he will hang on there. The question is, how different does this car feel with that damage? One car way out of shape, 2 cars out of shape. It's the 24 and the 21, as we saw Kenny Reel get way out of sorts, and I believe Lowell with that damage even more out of sorts. Yeah, that car, something might be broke on that 21 machine. I mean, he hit the wall very hard lap number 1, and he is just pretty much just trying to hang on to that race car here. So that is exactly those breaks you do not want to have happen to you to start off the playoffs. As out in front, John Ross to a healthy lead. Gravala up into second, about a half second back. Then Ritter will fall to third, fourth going to Zingen. And then Nick Larson rounding out the top 5 here. Everyone pretty strung out here. Dalton Powell trying to get around Jason Wiley. This is the battle for that 10th position here tonight. And as you can see, you might think, oh man, these cars are kind of loose coming off. You can see cars kind of drift up to that wall and then kind of drift on down from the raceway. Well, that's actually a tight race car because you're putting in so much wheel at the very last second when you're already in the power that you are breaking your rear tires free, let's say, off these corners, because it just gets so tight there that you have to put in that extra wheel. And with that extra wheel, you start aiming your car way down to the infield, and it just takes a little bit of those tires to break in just that instance, and then these cars step out underneath you, and it is very hard to save at that. As we see a battle heating up for that 5th position, Christian Delgado all over the back bumper of Nick Larson. And Larson can't really push too much either at this point, as he has the 62 machine right in front of him. And it is tough here to race side by side, especially at this point. It's a lot of give and take. If someone has a run on you, you're just trying to let them go, keep your stuff underneath you. So it's going to be a little bit of cat and mouse as 3 cars get on top of each other. It's who's going to be the first to give, because you don't want to give up too much spot, because that means if you're saving, you got to go back and race that guy again at a later point. So right now, riding with each other, but anything could happen. It just takes one bad corner, and then the other guy will try and get on around you, as Delgado now sniffing that left rear quarter panel of Larson. Larson gets a good run, but not good enough. Here we go, side by side. So usually in these situations, we'll see Larson lift out of it, let Delgado slide on up, and then they kind of race off together, not losing too much time. And that was a pretty decent handoff. Larson definitely lost a smidge of time, but it could have been a lot worse, as looks like further on back, battle for 16th here, as it looks like Cotola and Farella very sideways here on the racing surface. Alrighty, folks, coming up to lap number 10. off of turn number 4, we see Christian Delgado putting the pressure on that 62 machine. Delgado just got around Larson just a little bit ago. We'll have to see if he can continue that, as it looks like Delgado going to be a man on a mission after taking it maybe just a little bit easy at the start of the run. As now Delgado gets a nose to the outside, so side by side, Delgado on the charge on the top side. And as you see there, Delgado gets a good piece of the wall, doesn't have that extra track of diving it down low, as Delgado will get it off the corner. This causes a big checkup as everyone has to make evasive maneuvers, and somehow we all stay green flag racing, and no one really got too out of sorts, as Delgado able to hang out on top. The big loser of that 62 machine now finds himself in the back of this pack. So out in front, John Ross only about a quarter of a second advantage over Gravala, so that's closing on it. Might have to jump over to that here in a minute, but this is some great racing from around the top 5 to the top 10 now, as AJ Cawthon in that Budweiser number 25 machine. A little throwback next gen scheme here tonight we see, as he is now up into the top 10, but now seeing a lot of cars out in front. Let's ride on board with him. We'll see if we can see him start to cut up this field. As we ride on board with Cawthon, you can really hear him working, on that throttle. You really hear him, especially at this point, start to really feather it, play with it, try and get that car pointed in the direction that he wants to be able to roll into a full throttle here. Oh man, hang on to it back there. I believe that was Leroy Cobblenetz with a big time moment down the backstretch. Will be able to sail it off into turn number 3, keep it facing in the right direction, but that 43 car now has to be a little more timid on that right rear tire now that he knows it is hot off that turn number 2 exit. So out in front, we take a look at a race lead here, kind of a 3-car breakaway out in front, and we'll see what kind of line they're running, because at this point this car starts sliding up this racetrack, starts getting tighter and tighter. You can definitely tell when someone's right front's gone, because here in the turn number 1 they will be all against the wall, pretty much banging it right there in the middle. But you can see Ross down about a quarter car length lower than Gravala. We're in with disaster. You already see a little bit of right front damage on that car. But you got to be careful and not hit that wall too hard with these next gen cars. Gravala that time, big slide off of turn number 4. He is definitely wheeling this race car, but he's got to be careful that he doesn't burn off these tires too much. I believe we have 3 sets of tires over the wall here tonight, so a handful of tires. The thing is, 70% fuel, these cars can go quite a distance. So you don't want to burn them up too much, as I think we see some lap traffic starting to form as they catch that number 9 Ford Mustang. Man, that really slowed down Ross there. Gravala closes all the way up to the back bumper of the 44 machine, and maybe more as Gravala looks out here. Battle for the race lead, first time here tonight, as Ross will sail down from the top side. Will cut to that middle line and make sure he can defend it, but now Ross having some very close company for the race lead as we complete lap 20 here on to lap 21. So already battle for the race lead starting to fade away as John Ross able to run away just over half a second over Gravala. So we will go away from that. Now looking at a battle for the P number 4 spot as Nick Larson has reeled in to Christian Delgado. We saw Delgado on the move about 10 laps ago. Now maybe here comes Nick Larson. He definitely looks like saved some more tire than that 31 machine. Through 3 and 4, you see Larson running a higher line through there, a little bit faster through the middle of the corner. But you got to wonder, you don't want to burn off these tires. Even though you saved, you know, it could just take a couple laps of pushing too hard, getting some tires squeal, you know, a big slide, and all that saving could almost go down the drain. As we see once again, very, very difficult to navigate lap traffic here. It's kind of like road racing, you know. You got to just pick and choose and really time out your moves, kind of for sure 2 laps ahead, if not more. So we now see the 62 machine of Zingen here. Sorry, Zingen, as he will get right to the back bumper of Kenny Reel. He will give him a little tap here down the backstretch. Zingen was kind of got shuffled back in that pack, has since made up 1 spot from that. As we see the man Roger checking on in, and a loose tire in this race tonight. Oh man, that would throw off someone's night if we get any loose tires on the Speedway. As we see out in front, John Ross, battle for second as Steve Ritter goes around Joseph Gravala. So Ritter now trying to match the pace of Ross, as Ross is checked down out in front, about a 2-second advantage as we head back now to this battle. So looks like Gravala, his tires might be falling off in a hurry. Nope, no one has lost a tire yet, but I have a feeling we'll see some guys struggling with their handling before the end of this run, as we see some very, very different times here. I mean, Gravala, he definitely used up some of his stuff. He's about a second off the pace of the leader, so that 47 machine hoping for a yellow flag sooner than later. As most everyone spread on out, as we see Ross put now the 5 of Catola a lap down. Kenny Reel now catching the back bumper of Larson. Larson losing the back bumper of Delgado. So Delgado able to turn it on up, get away, and we might have a 3-car battle forming, as all these guys separated less than 3/4 of a second on the Speedway. Oh, as we see 2 of the guys get the wall off at turn number 2. I bet Zingen was following the tire tracks of Larson, and since Larson got it, that 62 machine got it as well. That will allow Kenny Reel to get by with a pretty easy pass. Now here comes the 62. I thought the 62 got the wall a little bit more than the 82, but maybe that 82 getting that wall and then having some tire fall off with the right front may have done it, as they'll try and goes too wide off of turn number 2, and Larson in the wall for the second lap in a row. That is for sure the hardest corner to get off side by side, is that tricky turn number 2, because you get so much banking in the corner, you can carry so much speed, but then when it comes time for quarter exit, you lose all that banking and you're pretty much stuck to one racing line, and 2 cars on one line usually never works out good. As we see AJ Cawthon now, he is up 5 spots trying to make it some more, as we see the 52 of Farella jump out of line. He is 1 lap down here. So everyone navigating the lap traffic here safely. Top 5 looking like the Fong. John Ross still one of the fastest cars out here. Probably the fastest car last time by was our second place driver, Steve Ritter. So Ritter trying to keep that gap to a minimum to Ross. Gravala still hanging on to third though, even with that ill-handling race car. These leaders were able to check out so far that they are sitting halfway decent, as we see Dalton Powell head down pit road. He will be the first taker down on pits here on lap 32. And you saw Powell there just barely get to those inside, into those pit barriers there. So that is another difficult part of this race. Not only is this track difficult to go out there, put together a consecutive 120 laps, but then you add on the very, very shallow banking pit road entry on top of it, and man, it makes for some wild times, as we now see Nick Larson kind of closing back on the bumper of that 25 machine. So Larson able to find some more speed in that 82. As we jump up here a little bit closer, battle for P number 2, as Gravala trying to hold on to third. Delgado putting on the pressure. This could get interesting here, folks, because Kenny Reel not that far behind. Another guy just outside of the top 10. The 4 machine of Brandon Guerin down on pit road. As we see Delgado trying to work around that number 47 machine. Gravala in the wall off of turn number 2. And pretty much Delgado's just got to kind of wait behind this 47 and wait for him to make kind of a big mistake, let's say, and then be like, all right, you can get on around at this point. No point in holding you up anymore. As though Gravala driving the wheels off of this ill-handling 47 machine. He is making them work for it behind him. But you don't want to hold on, guys, too long, because you can start wearing patience thin. So we will have to wait and see, as it is gonna get wild here for the battle for third. As now Kenny Reel right on the back bumper here. Delgado will look to the inside of the 47 off of turn number 4. It's going to be a drag race, but Gravala has the run. Delgado once again has to follow back in line. Each time probably getting a little bit more frustrated, as it looks like Powell's still down on pit road. Might be the end of the night. Same, I believe, Brandon Guerin back out on the racetrack here, as looks like Gravala will let him go. Will jump out of line. Gravala and Reel will touch there into turn number 3. Somehow both these guys able to hang on to the car, as Gravala just trying to hang on. But man, I don't know how we didn't have a yellow flag there. Now Zingen in that 62 in the picture here. This will be the 62 machine back in the top 5 here tonight. So, and just in front of this, Delgado trying to get a little bit of breathing room to reel. Gravalo trying to hang on to the spot from Zingen. And then Cawthon now trying to reel in the guys in front of him. As we saw the Ford machine down pit road very, very early. Well, I wonder if he got some sort of major damage or something, because he didn't spend too much extra time in the pit box though, so not doing optional repairs it seems like. As already a third of the way down here tonight, as we see Gravalo get a little bit loose in the middle of the corner. They will just get off of turn number 2 without contact. As we see battle for third, Kenny Reel will get around the 31 of Delgado. One car in the wall. That looks like, no, Gravalo down slow to get down pit road. AJ Cawthon tried to get down pit road. He missed it. That will lose a ton of time to that 25 machine. As we see our race leader also down on pit road. He will be the first. He didn't want to get undercut with the guys around him, so that forces Steve Ritter probably stay out at least a couple laps here. So that time by, we see Nick Larson down on pit road. Steve Ritter will pick up a point for a lap led, so he will stay out, lead the field here. About half the field. As we see the 21 machine and I believe the 9 rolling down to pit road. They will do the safe bet, drop down on the apron right to start the backstretch to make sure they get it woe down. But we'll see some guys be a little bit more aggressive, run into the banking, and then try and turn their car down at the last minute. But you time it wrong, like we saw the 25 machine of Cawthon, and it will be a long lap, and you will lose a lot of time. As we see our race leader down on pit road, Steve Ritter will make his scheduled stop here on 43. Then it leaves Kenny Rio, Christian Delgado, Jason Wiley still out on the racing surface. These guys gonna stretch their first stop, hoping to turn it up either in stop 1 and 2, but you can see John Ross behind him on the new tires, just how much faster this 44 machine is. As yeah, final 3 cars staying out, the 2 in front of Ross here, and then the 13 machine of Jason Wiley. Green flag pit stops here tonight in full swing. John Ross trying to get around. Here comes Rob Lowell right off of pit road on fresh tires. He's going to cut right in front of the 2 leaders. As oh, we see Delgado get in there way too hot, maybe worried about Ross on the back bumper, and he will get big time wall contact for the 31 machine. So if I'm Delgado, I'm coming in this time, no matter if Kenny Reel does a couple more laps. If I'm Reel though, having to deal with 2 lappers in 1 lap, I'm coming in this time because I lose some time on this lap. As oh, we see the 21 machine of Rob make hard contact to the outside wall. Here for these guys opting to stay on out, so they are fully committed to this long run in this first stint here tonight. As John Ross and Steve Ritter about 3 to 4 seconds separating the 2 of them. We see John Ross haul around Steve Wiley. Wiley this time by in that 13 machine heading down on pit road. So out in front, these guys still staying out on the racing surface. Last time by about a 32.4 for both of them. Last time for the guys that just took tires, around 31s and 30.55, so about 2-second advantage per lap on these tires. As we see the 30 machine of Caton down on pit road. Jason Wiley just about to finish up his stop. You see the jack drop on that car. He will get that thing rolling. Can he reel with the alternate strategy? If he gets lucky and gets a yellow flag right before he pits, he is sitting pretty with would be a big time tire advantage, but he's just got to hope something happens. But most people spread on out with a spread up field. You know what that means, folk. Let's check out that track cam of Darlington, and you can see even in just the track map just how different these two ends are. So of course, circled in the lime green, that's the car we're looking at. Car numbers respected to the drivers. If they're grayed on out, they are still on pit road. The one retirement so far tonight, the 51 of Dalton Powell. Not the way he wanted to start these playoffs. As we see here, I think I heard from the crew, yes he is, 31 of Delgado rolling on the apron. He will make his first stop of the night, and no, he will miss pit road. He will have to throw that thing in reverse quick, but that will lose him a ton of time with this different strategy. That is a tough break, and like I said, folks, I mentioned it a little bit at the start of these pit stops. This pit road entry, very, very tough. Here we see our race leader, Kenny Reel, bringing it down on pit road. Reel has to take it really easy. These tires very worn on this race car. Looks like he will safely deliver the 24 DuPont machine down on pit road. So with him down on pits, it will cycle back out. John Ross leading the way over Steve Ritter. About a 3-second gap between them. Then 9 seconds back, Joseph Gravala on some fresh tires, has the car more underneath him, kind of on his own island. And then AJ Cawthon here has one car, big time out of sorts. That is, I believe, the 5 machine of Nate Catola. Somehow Catola hanging onto that race car, but wow, he's got to take care of those tires now for quite a few laps, as that could have been very, very bad, as we see a gaggle of cars here off of turn number 4 to the front stretch line. So Brandon Guerin on a different strategy than these guys. Remember, Guerin very early down on pits on all the way on lap 33, so his tires gonna be not as good as the cars around him, but sitting in P number 5 at the moment when it all cycles on out. So Guerin, I like the strategy call. He's got to hope for a yellow though some point coming up, and then that will throw him on the right tire cycle. As we jump around the speedway here, trying to take a look, see what kind of battles are going on, but right now, so far, pretty quiet, as we will complete here this time by lap 54 now to lap 55, almost to the halfway break here in Darlington. Of course, this is race number 1 of the Riptide Radio Next Gen Cup Series, and I tell you what, this playoff schedule, a lot of fun, a lot of different tracks for these drivers. Here's what it looks like. Next week, these drivers will try and tame the biggest track. As one car way out of sorts, Jeff Barefoot, he will keep it rocking and rolling and keep it facing in the right direction. As we'll jump up here, battle for P number 6 as Leroy Cobblenet under fire from Nick Larson. Larson will go to the inside of that number 43 machine, sail it down into turn number 3, give P number 6 to the 82 of Larson. So as I was saying before, rudely interrupted by a little moment out on track. So next week we head to the biggest track on the schedule. That's right, it is Talladega. Then a week after that, March 31st, we head to Watkins Glen, see who can be the best at turning these race cars left and right. Then we head to one of the short tracks in the playoffs. It is North Wilkesboro. Then I believe it's Nashville Super Speedway. We head to April 14th. Then the Irish Hills of Michigan, April 21st. And then season championship. We will crown a champion for the Riptide Radio Next Gen Series at Kansas, April 28th. So it looks like everyone all set with their strategy. We will have to see how it shakes on out. Jeff Barefoot, we saw him get out of shape, I believe, having some damage. He's down on pit road. Looks like the 51 machine of Dalton Powell getting that car repaired. He's out on the racetrack. So at the moment, everyone but one car is still out here turning laps. We take a look here at our race leader, John Ross, the man so far this first half of the race, led the field to the green flag. Hasn't led all the laps, but most of them. But I tell you what, he has put on some great pace. This time, though, for the 44 machine, he will see the cross flags halfway home, halfway home. As we see the 31 machine of Delgado getting around Rob Lowell. So Delgado back up into P number 9, but we saw him have that issue coming down on pit road. Had to come to a complete stop, put that car in reverse, and then get onto the pit road. So with that, he has lost a ton of time here as we head to a battle forming up for 6 as Kenny Reel trying to get around Nick Larson. Reel trained paints with the 52 of Farella, as Farella now out of sorts down the backstretch right in front of our race leader, John Ross. That's the one thing Ross has to keep in mind here tonight. With a comfortable lead, he cannot make any big sort of mistakes, put himself in a vulnerable spot or anything, because he has the most to lose at the moment. As we see these guys battling it out. Kenny Reel, of course, on that different strategy, down on pit road on 51. Most cars down on pit road on the 40 to 43 mark, so about a 10 lap advantage to the tires on the 24. But at this point, all drivers gonna have to come down and at least take fuel at least 2 more times, as we see Larson make the move on Brandon Guerin. Guerin on the opposite strategy down on pit road very early. He will lose some time now as the drivers with better tires will drive on around. Reel, though, looks to the inside of Larson here into turn number 1. Reel will sail it on in there. Larson backs on out. Give P number 5 to Kenny Reel, back up in the top 5 for the 24 machine. So now Reel has to turn on the jets because race leader John Ross just a little bit behind these guys. And you know, with a little bit of some time, why don't we let some cars do the talking? That's right, folks. Let's do some fan favorite, some turn 3, turn it up here tonight at Darlington. folks, we pick it back up here with the race leader. John Ross was able to put Brandon Guerin a lap down, but we will probably see Guerin here down on pit road in about 5 laps or so. As you can see, that Ford machine very much struggling with this car. That's because he came down last time on lap 33. So we will see him about down on the lap 73 to 75 mark if I was a betting man. Currently Guerin, first car, 1 lap down. 6 cars on the lead lap. Still, I believe everyone that has started here tonight is out on track. As we see Leroy in that 43 machine catching that back bumper of Brandon Guerin. This could be the battle for the lucky dog spot, so a little bit of worth racing for, but Guerin knows he is coming up very close to his scheduled second pit stop of the night. As we actually see Nick Larson go a lap down in that 82 machine. So Larson, first car, 1 lap down, as Guerin kind of catching him as well, but not as much as Leroy in this 43 machine. He will look to the inside of Guerin. Guerin will sail it on in there, go on the defensive. So we got to wonder how much tire is left in that number 4 machine. They will back on off, single file into turn number 1, but can't back off too far as Christian Delgado catching these guys in a hurry. Delgado, one of those drivers with that late pit stop strategy, as he will go by, as Calvinet's gentleman move there, he will sail it on off, let him go on by, as we see Brandon Guerin here on 72 head down pit road. So Guerin right in line here. He should be good to the end. He has to stretch it just a little bit, but should be able to do that. He is betting. Now he's hoping that there's not a yellow till the end of his next run, as we see John Ross put the 9 machine another lap down here tonight. Nick Larson here in this 82 machine, putting the 13 of Jason Wiley another lap down. It looks like Kenny Reel getting around AJ Cawthon. Cawthon, I guess, really checked up, almost an incident, but Reel definitely faster, about half a second than the rest of the field, with pitting that 10 laps later. Further on back, battle for 6 once again between Nick Larson and Christian Delgado. Delgado will look to the inside of the 82. Delgado on better tires, a little loose there, but he will keep it, be able to put the power down, let's say, and take over that 6th position. So now we see Ross lapping up to the top 5. But Delgado should be able to run him on down and unlap himself. It'll be very close if he can do that before Ross gets down on pit road, as there's still about a quarter track separating the two of them. As we see the 62 rolling off of pit road, he's making the second stop. He decided to come in right on 72, so he will have to stretch it out to the end, but I'm sure battling some handling issues on that race car. Now we see the 6 machine of Johnny Barker Barker down on pit road from inside the top 10. So now it starts to get closer and closer to most of when these guys pitted last time. Steve Ritter back from our race leader about 5 seconds now. Gravala didn't lose too much time to the cars around him. He's 10 seconds back, so Gravala finding much better long run pace this second run. So that gives him hope, especially if we get a yellow flag to bunch everyone up. That is pretty much what everyone is hoping, except for this guy we're looking at here, John Ross, continuing to lead the way here tonight. So everyone, for the most part, out on track at least has a second in some change separating them in the cars around them. So everyone just trying to hit their marks, keep these race cars underneath them until they can get some fresh set of boots on them, as it looks like one car dives down towards pit road. It looks like it is the 25 machine of AJ Cawthon. He gets down on pit road much better this time. As that time by John Ross will click over to lap 80 of 120. So that leaves us with 40 laps to go here tonight to tame the lady in black. So far, John Ross, the strongest contender to do so. This time by, though, we see our race leader head down to the apron, blow that skull machine down, and head down to pit road for the second and final time here tonight. So Ritter last time did about 2 more laps than Ross. Does he do another 2? Does he try and stretch it? Because whatever he can run here and run a little bit more than Ross, he can push that much harder. But it's always a balancing act, because the more you push, the harder it is. As we see 2 cars fight for pit road, Colbinetz and Ritter make contact. Colbinetz somehow able to slide that car and not hit that wall too hard. Oh man, it looks like Gravala too fast to get down pit road. He will jump on it and have to do another lap. That will be a tough break. That will put him very close to the likes of Kenny Reel and the guys that were behind him, as Ritter and Colbinetz making contact down on pit road. With Gravala staying out another lap, he does get to lead a lap, but a very long lap that is, at least on the stopwatch. So the 47 now will give up the race lead, as he will get big time sideways, lock up those rears trying to get down pit road, but he will get down safely. And man, that is very stressful for a driver. Has to be frustrating that first time missing it, and then that second time almost looping it, as luckily that's the final scheduled stop for that 47 machine. Kenny Reel takes over the race lead. Remember, Reel did 10 extra laps that first run to get a advantage. As we get a yellow flag on the racetrack, this is exactly what Kenny Reel wanted, as we see the 62 machine here on the front stretch facing in the right direction. But man, how impressive it is, folks, making it 83 laps before we see the first yellow here tonight. So taking a look here off of turn number 4, Frank Zingen down low, Jeff Barefoot up top, and oh, Barefoot just gets a little bit loose, and that's all it takes, especially running side by side. Zingen will get a piece of the wall, and yeah, that's definitely enough to bring out the yellow flag here for the first time here tonight. As now the question is, if you're the likes of Cawthon, Ross, do you come down, take that final step? For sure, Kenny Reel, Delgado, all those guys come on down. But man, the question is Brandon Guerin, what does he do? Last pitted on 68, oldest tires of this bunch. But he could take that final set now, try and go on the offensive, but doesn't have any more than this. So very tough decisions in the pit boxes here. We're going to try and talk to that 62 machine of Zingen, see what he kind of saw and see if he has any input on how tonight's going. Hey Frank, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, how you doing?
I think a little bit better than you out here with the first yellow flag. I'm sure nothing more that you could have done. Just kind of looks like got tagged there off the corner.
Yeah, no, I didn't really know exactly what happened. I was trying to pass Jeff and stay in front of Barker, but just tough racing. I'm sure I think I came up into Jeff there and off the corner. Kind of turned both of us.
Yeah, no, tough break there for sure for the first yellow as you pitted here on last time lap 72. As man, this place is very tough. How you manage in this race, especially first race of the playoffs?
Well, I would have been doing a lot better if I didn't miss the pit road the first time and then take a 40-second penalty, so that kind of put me in a hole. But other than that, it's going fine. I expected to do a little bit better today than all the way back here in 13th, but take what you get.
Yeah, hopefully a top 10 finishes. Yeah, like you said, this pit road very, very tough to navigate. And then, you know, it just takes one little thing people don't take into account, how difficult it is with the lack of banking, the speed you're trying to go on it, and then factor in some worn tires. Man, it is very tough to do. I'm trying to tell the audience that. And, of course, manage every single lap after that.
Yeah, and remember what corner you're in and trying to pass people. It's not easy to pass here.
That it is not. As well, Frank, we'll let you get back to chatting with the team, getting a strategy formed. But before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give a quick shout out to anyone either tuning on in the broadcast or on the 62 car.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors that put this on. You for coming out and broadcasting this for us. We really appreciate it.
All righty. Well, it looks like you're heading down pit road. We'll let you get to the box safely, and hopefully you get some better luck this second half here.
Thanks.
All righty. One more time. What team room do I got to move you to?
The piston broke.
All right, sweet. All righty, Frank. Good luck here with the second half of the race.
Thank you.
All righty. That was a 62 machine down on pit road. Frank Zigan in that car, and we got a chance to talk to him. He is, like we said, folks, very tough to put a full race together. As man, up and downs of racing, as he will get a fast repair, get that car repaired. But out in front, we got him double fouled on up and get ready for our first restart of the night. Lights are out around the Darlington Speedway. We get ready to go back green flag racing, and it is going to be wild. Maybe a little turn 3, turn it up if we can get through, make it sure I don't jinx anything and throw it to that and then instantly bring out a yellow. Alrighty, John Ross in the 44 machine leading the field to green to his outside. The 16 machine of Ritter. This is what these guys behind Ross wanted, a chance to make up that time. This is where we get it. It's going to be a shootout here, folks. Ross leading the way, waiting on the loud pedal. We go back to green flag racing action as Ross will just clear Ritter. They will dive down single file for the top 5 here in the turn number 1. Ritter will look for the crossover, have to get out of it just a little bit. So it goes Ross, Ritter tries to throw the block. Here comes Gervala for second. Gervala down low in the 47 machine, Ritter up top in the 16. And that shows you just how tough it is here. You try and make a move, that could set you up as they continue door break. More contact. Gervala hard into the inside wall here tonight. He will try and lock it up, get it out of harm's way as Gervala definitely broke some parts on that race car. Him and Ritter making contact. It looks like one car out of sorts further on back. I believe that's Cobbinet's No, not quite. It is Coletta in that number 5 machine. Always getting those light blue cars mixed on up here, but out in front, Ross now with the advantage. Ritter hanging on to second. Now Delgado up into third. Real fourth. Nick Larson rounding out the top 5 with 30 to go. Getting very racy here as Gravala able to safely get down on pit road. Now with a little bit of time, let's let some cars do some talking with a second turn 3 turn it up. So John Ross leading the way here. Delgado kind of got within 4 car lengths of Steve Ritter, about staying that gap here. Kenny Reel in fourth. Nick Larson on the charge here. Larson closing the gap to that back bumper Reel. That could be a battle for the 4th position before it's all said and done. And further on back, Cawthon, Guerin, very close to each other as well. You have the 13 machine of Steve Riley right in front of them as well. So this could heat on up here in a second. As you see Wiley trying to get around the 52 machine of Farella. Now here comes Cawthon to make the move. He will go down low here into turn number 1, sail it on in there. Guerin and Zingen will all do the same. As we get close to the countdown clock on the tower, I believe here in just a few we will get that. Should be next time by. We should get 25 to go. As John Ross now putting a second advantage over Steve Ritter. Ritter able to lose the pressure a little bit from Delgado. These guys all about half a second to a second separating everyone within the top 5. So all that gap, it may seem like a good little gap between it, but all it takes is one mistake here and that guy behind you will close that gap in a snap of a finger. As we got to give a shout out to some of these guys here starting off the playoffs on the right foot. That, of course, being Christian Delgado. We knew Steve Ritter, John Ross were going to be some heavy hitters, but, you know, the likes of Jason Wiley going to walk away if he stays up there, you know, with some decent points. Same with Cawthon, Guerin, and whatnot. The one tough break, Nick Larson, just outside of the points, and he's having himself a great run right now. Looking at him running inside the top 5 here tonight. As you see now, battle shaping up for P number 6. AJ Cawthon has caught the back bumper of Wiley in that number 13 machine. So let's ride on board with Wiley, looking on back to Cawthon and see where this 25 machine is gaining time here. Right on board with 6th place runner Jason Wiley, looking back at 7th AJ Cawthon. So you see Wiley there, a lot lower entry, letting that car drift up all the way to the wall. So getting a Darlington stripe with Cawthon running higher. He gets a big run. Side by side they go into turn number 1. He will go on by. Now Wiley looking at the back bumper of Cawthon. As it looks like Cawthon able to clear the path. Now has to make up a ton of time if he wants to try and get in that top 5. And that, of course, trying to get around Nick Larson for that 5th position. Up in front, though, Christian Delgado getting caught by the 24 of Kenny Reel, and I think we might see some guys working over each other here. Ritter and Gravala. Remember, those two had some contact earlier here today. Those two definitely frustrated with each other. I'm sure some words going to be said to each other at the haulers after this one, as looks like Ritter's still going to get held up from Gravala. It is playoff time, and that means every man's thinking for himself, looking at the big picture as we continue to look at this battle for P number 3 as Gravala in the wall. He will get loose. It looks like Steve Ritter will try and run away as quickly as possible. Not sure if there was contact, but there was definitely smoke in the middle of turns 3 and 4 there. As just to add a little bit of extra spice, throwing in some lap traffic of that number 9 machine, everyone able to get around them safely. So that has now moved Ritter ever so closer to striking ground to Delgado, as now Delgado within half a second of Ritter for second. If these guys start battling for second, third, fourth, one guy that's going to be very happy to see that is our race leader, John Ross. But what Ross doesn't want to see is a late race yellow, because at that point, anything could happen. Some drivers could take some different strategies, and it could turn this race very quickly upside down. So it looks like this battle inside the top 5 cooling on off for the moment, as Ritter kind of holding pace in front of Delgado, but Delgado able to get away from Kenny Reel here. Head above the front stretch stands here up on the spotter deck. Taking a look, a little bit wider view here tonight around the Darlington Speedway. Oh, as we get a yellow flag on the Speedway, Jason Wiley, heavy front end damage to that 13 machine. He's going to have to bring it down pit road, use one of those fast repairs. And this now turns this race on the head. Second yellow flag of the night, but man, strategy is wide open now. As, oh man, already hard contact to that inside wall. Here, we'll back it up a little bit further, see what happened to the number 13 machine of Jason Wiley. Wiley already up into the marbles through 1 and 2. We'll probably get a big piece of the wall here off the corner. Yes, he does. And with that, loses traction in the back end. That drives the car to the inside. And oh man, heavy contact to that inside wall. Almost coming off all 4 corners off the racing surface, as that is a big hit for Jason Wiley inside the top 10, but able to nurse that car down. Oh man, folks, money stop is on the way. 15 to go. This is where the pit crews make their money, as we'll keep an eye here on pit road and these drivers who will win the race off of pit road and how this shakes on out. Everyone on the lead lap down on pit road. So John Ross leading the way over Steve Ritter, Delgado 3rd, Kenny Reel 4th, Nick Larson 5th. We will see if they stay the same here as these drivers head to these concrete boxes. Got to be careful of some tires sliding through the box. Can't afford that this late here tonight. Looks like everyone's safe and down. Reel having to throw it in reverse there. He will lose a second, and every second matters here under yellow flag pit stops and green flag pit stops as well. As we see Delgado rolling off of pit road, looks like he will not beat the 16 machine of Ritter, as it looks like Real will just beat the 82 machine of Larson out on pit road. So folks, it's gonna be about an 11 lap shootout here tonight, and it is gonna be crazy. If you thought things were intense, let's say, you know, with working around lap traffic, trying to get down pit road, this has nothing to this. These drivers, no one will want to give up a spot, so these guys gonna have to fight side by side into these corners, off of these corners. It is gonna be a wild time, and we will have to see how this all shakes on out. As you know what, let's try and jump in an interview here with our second place driver, see if he can give us a little bit of insight of the mindset going into this final restart. We'll try and dial up Steve Ritter here. Steve, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
I do, Brett. What's going on?
Oh man, the intensity now ramped up to 100. Gonna be about 11 lap shootout, all said and done. What can you kind of give for the mindset? I know I can't ask you game plan too much, just in case if John Ross is listening.
Oh, we're going. I mean, we got 11 laps or whatever you just said. We're going to the front. We're going to try to pass them.
And I know, especially here at Darlington, very, very difficult to race side by side, especially entry of corner and coming off. I mean, I assume you're going to have to for sure let it rip, but how do you keep these cars facing the right direction with that?
You move your hands real fast. Basically, it's just getting the wheels straight as you can. We're going to make contact at Darlington. There ain't a lot of room in these corners, so if we're going for the win, we're probably going to hit doors a little bit, so you just try to keep the wheel as straight as you can.
Yep, and that's going to be the plan. Well, Steve, best of luck here for the shootout. Good luck. I see you guys lined up here. Real quick, before I let you go, anyone you want to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, James Neighborgall. He works with me. I think he's watching tonight. So, if you guys are still tuned in, this one's for you if I win it.
All righty. Well, good luck, Steve, here. Get dialed in for this restart. All righty, folks. That was Steve Ritter, our second-place driver here on the restart, trying to get into the right mindset as we get ready to rock and roll. The iRacing pace car off of pit road. Here we go. John Ross needs a good restart. Steve Ritter needs an even better one to stay side by side. By the time they get into turn number one, Ross will wait. Ritter tried to roll it. Here we go. 11 laps to go. Ross able to get clear out in front. Was a risky call, but made it work. Contact here. Delgado and Real trading some paint, as Delgado will take over that third spot here once again. Off of turn number two, Ritter off the pace. That moves Delgado with the move to get out of the way, but that opens up the door as now Real will get on by. Here comes Nick Larson on the top side. Oh man, Delgado out of sorts. He will make hard contact to the inside wall. He will come to a stop. We'll see if we stay green. So far, staying green with 10 laps to go. It is anyone's race at this point here. Real loose off of turn number two. At this point, it is no saving, no lifting. You're trying to get everything you can from these cars and the guys around you. With that tire spin, Nick Larson able to close the gap to about 3 car lengths for that third position. I bet Larson would love a podium here tonight. Show everyone that, hey, this 82 machine should have been in these playoffs. John Ross, though, out in front doing everything just right. Everything that he can. As contact, Cawthon and Guerin. Somehow, Guerin able to hold on to that race car. That is so far the save of the season, save of the playoffs. as Garen should not have been able to hold on to that race car. And not only that, not even lose any spots, as Garen now up in the top 5 for the first time here tonight, is up a whopping 8 spots from where he started. As now Cawthon back into 6th, Cobblenet 7th. Right in the middle of this, it looks like we got Johnny Barker and Joseph Gravala trying to race, trying to get some laps back here. Now 7 to go. Looks like everyone, you know, once everyone gets strung on out a little bit more single file racing, it definitely, the intensity drops down just that little bit more. But you can tell these guys pushing hard and using up their race cars. One car getting a Darlington stripe here. Once again, that's the 25 machine, AJ Cawthon. He got a piece of the wall there off at turn number 2. Now Gravala going to try and get on around him. Gravala hoping for a yellow flag here at some point. He is the first car 1 lap down, but Gravala can't really, you know, just ride on around and hope for that yellow, because he has Johnny Barker right on his back bumper. Barker on fresh tires, and he's looking to get that lucky dog. So that is why Gravala is kind of racing Cawthon here, because he doesn't want to give up the spot to the 6th. As now Barker gets a run on the top side. He will go around Gravala, so that puts Johnny Barker up into tonight's lucky dog here if we do get a yellow. And maybe here it is, as battle for the lucky dog. Barker goes around off the nose of Gravala. Oh man, folks, I think that takes them both out of the lucky dog, and it should give one of the guys we talked to before, Frank Zingen in the 62 machine, one of the laps back. He finds himself currently 2 laps down. And oh man, John Ross is gonna have to do another restart here before it's all said and done. 2 attempts at a green-white checkered. This will be definitely one of the attempts. And I would have to guess these guys used up all their tire sets. We won't see anyone come down pit road unless they try and make some repairs to their car. I'm surprised you don't see the likes of the 25, you know, down on pit road to try and get some repairs. But leaders stay out. We will continue under the yellow flag right after a quick word from our sponsor. That's right, Turn 3 is working with Premier here at the beginning of the year. Be sure to check them out for any of your setup needs, especially when it comes to the open setup racing here, as we see the 62 machine getting the lucky dog back. But I'll let Premier tell you a little bit about what they do. Alrighty, folks, back here at the Darlington Raceway. And of course, we got to thank the sponsors here at Riptide Radio and with the 802 iRacing League. Of course, Riptide Radio's got to give a huge shout out for the sounds of the salt, sea, and sand, broadcasting from Ocean Drive, South Carolina. Free download for the best Carolina beach and boogie music. That is, of course, Riptide Radio. Then we saw it earlier with the BG Graphics Pole Award. Got to give them a big shout out. Then sponsoring Rookie of the Year, we got Out of the Woods Crafts jumping on board with that. DTL Customs always doing an awesome job with the graphic side of things. And then Leaf Guard coming on board and providing some sponsorship there. So be sure to check out any of those companies here as we get ever so closer to attempt number 1 at the green-white checkers here. I believe about a lap and a half before we go to green flag racing. We got insight last yellow from the mind of Steve Ritter. We'll have to see if he can finish on up there, talk a little bit more about it and the guys around him. But man, it is going to be a wild one to the finish. At the stripe here, lights go out on the Speedway. We will double file them up and get ready to go back green flag racing. John Ross leading the field to green. He has done so every time. Last time waited a long time to get on the throttle. Ritter tried to time it right. Did not work out for the 16. Was not able to stay side by side. This time I'm sure Ross will shake it up again. Ritter gonna have to try and react just perfectly. As of course, another thing too, these tires starting to get about 10 to 15 laps old, so we might see a little bit of tire spin before it's all said and done. But I tell you what, let's get in the stands. Let's get the fan cam, that's right, sitting in the stands here in the front stretch. See how this all unfolds heading into turn number 1, side by side. No one's lifting this time with green white checkered attempt number 1 here for the Riptide Radio 802 kickoff of the playoffs. Ross waiting on it here. Ritter not able to stay side by side. Ritter will slide in second, Reel in third, but Reel will be side by side with Larson. They will dive it into turn number 1. Here comes Brandon Guerin trying to get to the inside. Looks like Guerin will not. So further on back, Cawthon and Delgado. That was Delgado and Lowell, as Lowell is stuck down to the inside here. Johnny Barker will get on by as the 21 machine struggling for handling. This time by, we will see the white flag. One more lap to go here for race number 1 of the playoffs. John Ross leads the way, but has Steve Ritter right on the back bumper. We, of course, racing to the checkered flag. Ritter's going to have one more shot here. Can he force Ross into a mistake? Final time in 3 and 4. Ritter right on the back bumper. John Ross doing everything right, though. Off of turn number 4. Playoff win number 1 going to John Ross. Steve Ritter will finish second. Third being Kenny Reel, and that will do it here. Everyone making it back to the line, but John Ross gonna be the one to celebrate here early in the playoffs, picking up the win. As man, what a great finish here to start off the playoffs. What a great race overall. Only 3 caution flags here tonight from the Darlington Speedway for 120 laps. That is very impressive to have these 18 drivers come out here on this Sunday night and put on a great show. But the one that put it all together the best is this 44 Skull machine of John Ross, going to be burning down here on the front stretch. John Ross burning it on down here. Playoff looking a lot stronger for the 44 machine with a win. He can't ask for much more better than that. As we will go to commercial break. On the other side, we'll be here to chat with our top 3. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we head back to Darlington Speedway to talk to our top 3 finishers. That's right, we got the guy leading the points coming into tonight, Kenny Real, finishing in the number 3 spot. We'll see if he's got a copy. Kenny, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, we got a copy.
Alrighty, man. Well, I kind of let it up with introducing you coming into tonight. You lead the points with 5 wins in the regular season. Walking out of here tonight, I believe you should be pretty close to that. But with a podium, that's got to feel pretty good with, especially that alternate strategy. Tell us a little bit about your race.
The race was alright. The track was really hot. Couldn't get the car to rotate. So I was just trying to figure out how to get the car to rotate. I finally started figuring it out towards the end of the first stint, and that's when we started gaining a little bit of speed. But by then, how long it went green, I was already 9 seconds back of the leader, and they all undercutted. So I just figured I was gonna try to stay out and catch a caution. And there at the very end, I was doing the same thing, just staying out. Ended up catching a caution, which helped me, but it wasn't long enough for me to trap them a lap down or let them use laps up of their tires. So they got on track because everybody's pretty even. So, but I can't complain about a 3rd place, especially with a track I really don't like and not good at, and how hot it was.
Yeah, these cars look like a handful here tonight, especially off of turn number 2. It seemed like no front end grip, and then if you got the wall, that back end instantly snapped out around on you, and these things were just dump trucks from there on out if you got the wall too hard.
Yeah. If you came off too hard, it'd want to, the rear end would just want to come out from underneath you. And there was a few times right at the beginning of the race it happened to me, and luckily the few times it did happen, I was able to save it. I think I got into the wall one time, but luckily we were able to pretty much keep it clean.
Yeah, and that you did able to walk away with a P number 3. I mean, this is one of those up in the air tracks on the schedule, especially for the playoffs. Darlington, a very tough track. But then we head to kind of the biggest mystery track of the playoffs, Talladega. How do you feel about super speedway racing in these next gen cars?
Oh, I'm ready for Dega. I love super speedway racing. I love it. And so I'm really excited for it.
Oh man, maybe the track you're looking most to, let's say, in the playoffs?
Oh, 100%.
Alrighty, so we'll look for this 24 machine near the front, especially when it comes to the end of the race next week at Talladega. But yeah, Kenny, I believe first time talking with you this season, so I love to always ask, get a little insight from the drivers to the fans and maybe some other drivers. What's your sim setup like? What do you got for wheel pedals, and what are you looking at?
Well, we talked last week too, but
I'll
go back over. I got just a G29, TLCM pedals, single monitor setup, sitting at a desk, nothing major, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, that's right, Kenny. I just too much broadcasting in a
Oh,
week,
yeah,
let's say.
yeah. I
But
already
no,
know.
awesome stuff here. Now making it 2 podiums in a row. I mean, that's got to help your confidence, and especially like you said, going into one of your favorite tracks, man, got to feel pretty good here with the early part of these playoffs.
Yeah, I need as long as we can come away with a good finish next week, hopefully we can gain some more momentum for the later part of the playoffs. I'm just hoping for a good week next week, and I just, even if it's bad, I just love super speedway racing regardless. So
Alrighty, Kenny. Well, before we let you go and celebrate another podium for you this week here tonight at Darlington, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank on this 24 machine.
I just want to give a shout out to my teammates over at Piston Bro, East Motorsports, Bowie Esports. Shout out to DTL Customs, Riptide Radio, Brandon for his graphic work that he does, and all the admins for what they do for the league. And shout out to you for putting on an amazing broadcast.
Alrighty, Kenny. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking to you some more before this playoffs are complete. So, Kenny, you have yourself a great night, great week, and we'll catch you next Sunday at Talladega.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You as well. That will do it for our third place finisher. That, of course, the 24 car of Kenny Reel. Now we'll head over to our runner-up finisher. That being the 16 of Steve Ritter. Steve, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth here? Steve, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth? Copy, number 16 car. Steve, you got a copy? Alrighty, we'll give him a chance to maybe come back to the PC or come back to the car. Not getting a copy from him, so we'll go head down to Victory Lane now and talk to the 44 machine of John Ross. John, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth here?
I've got a copy.
Alrighty, man. I gotta say, I don't think you could start the playoffs that much better for you. How you feeling, and how does it feel to be in Victory Lane and tame the Lady in Black?
Well, it feels fantastic to be in Victory Lane. I'm not certain. It got a little dicey at the end. You know, Steve was really quick, especially on short runs, and so we kept getting those cautions. And every time we had a caution, I got a decent little jump, and I got out on him. I'm like, all right, let's just go green, and a caution kept coming out. But hell yeah, man! To start this off, we'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Able to put together a flying lap, able to beat out Steve Ritter for that pole. Talked a little bit about you with that mindset, and then coming into the game plan. I mean, I think you guys executed exactly how you guys drew it up with the pit stops. Luckily, that one yellow, though, our first yellow of the night, did not impact the race too much, let's say, with splitting up strategies.
That's true because when we come back out and the caution came out, I immediately looked and I'm like, okay, are we a lap down or are we going to be on the same lap? And I think I'd only come out. I had one lap on the tires, so Steve I think was in the same boat, and we were the first two to be the on the back end of the lead lap. So I knew we were good because the five in front of us had to pit, and so it didn't really impact it at all. And then we had a couple of cautions at the end and some really close, good, hard racing. So you couldn't ask for anything better. It was great.
Yeah, exactly, John. And I got to ask, how stressful were those late race restarts? Not only did we get a couple of those, and then to finish it off with a green-white checkered, I knew you had to be thinking about that strategy of when to get on it for those restarts because you do not want to go into turn number one side by side.
That's true, and they were stressful, because every time that we had one, and I jumped out 5, 6, 7 tenths of a second on Steve, I could kind of hold him there, and I was okay because that dirty air, especially going into 3 and 4, made the car push so bad that I felt like if I could stay in front of him and get the clean air, that was paramount. And he cut me a couple of breaks on the start of the race. He cut me a break there, and then on one of those cautions, he was underneath of me and got a good run. And so he kind of cut me a break there too. So it was really important to get out and get clean air. And I think if Steve would have gotten clean air, that you could be talking to him as the winner.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because, like you said, that dirty air packs these cars so much, and man, line sensitive and just very tough to get around a guy because you pretty much, if you get stuck behind someone, you're just waiting for the guy in front of you to make a mistake. Let's say.
Absolutely, yeah, and on those longer runs when everyone can spread out, that was good. And I think the first time that I went in for a green flag stop, I almost spun the car getting into the pit. So I was really gentle getting in and getting out, and but I was able to keep some clean air for quite a while and stay out of trouble. And that was the big key was keep the front end clean, stay out of trouble, stay off of the wall, and just turn the best lap times you can.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you did, John. Able to keep all the cars in the rear view at the end, picking up the win here tonight and kicking off the playoffs with the win. I mean, that's got to go quite a bit, especially next week at Talladega, with that being such a wild card race.
Yeah, it really is. And I look forward to the plate races because there is a kind of an element of rolling the dice. But I don't look forward to them, especially come playoff time, because you just never know what's going to happen. But I've got a great team with me, and 3 out of the 4 guys are in the playoffs. So I think we're going to try to work together and see if we can get another win for our team.
Yeah, I'm sure we are definitely not done talking to you before this season is over. So, John, here from Victory Lane at Darlington for race number 1 of the playoffs, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you for the final time and thank who you got to thank here, either on the car or maybe watching at home.
Yeah, Brett, first of all, thank you for doing this, and we certainly appreciate it. Do a fantastic job every week, and I know you jumped on board with us here, and hopefully we can put on a good show for you for the rest of these playoffs, and everyone that's watching. We certainly appreciate the support too. The 802 League and Rob want to thank their sponsors, Riptide Radio, DTL Customs, BG Graphics, and Leaf Guard. Thanks for those guys jumping on board with us. We certainly appreciate it. These leagues are not easy and or cheap to run, so we appreciate that support. And then my Wildman Racing team, Christian, Leroy, Joseph, appreciate everything that they do. And yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and look forward to next week.
All righty, John, you have yourself a great night, great week, and we'll catch you sometime again here in the future. Have a good one.
Thanks, Brett. You too.
All righty, folks, that was our winner here tonight from race number 1 at Darlington. It is John Ross. So let's get things started to wrap on up here and go over tonight's race results. So picking up the win, John Ross in that 44 machine, starting off the playoffs right. I mean, most of these guys for sure in the top 5, top 10 wanted what they got, because next week at Talladega, it is anyone's race. So John Ross picking up the win. Second, going to the 16 of Steve Ritter. Rounding out the top 3, we got a chance to talk to him again this week. It is the 24 of Kenny Reel. Then in 4th, going to the 82 of Nick Larson, rounding out the top 5. Awesome run from this guy. Biggest mover is the 4 machine of Brandon Guerin. 6th, going to the 25 of AJ Cawthon. 7th is Leroy Koblenetz in the 43. 8th is Christian Delgado in the 31. 9th, going to the 21 of Rob Lowell. 10th is Johnny Barker in the 6th. 11th, going to the 47 of Joseph Rivala. 12th is Frank Zingen in the 62. 13th is Ariba Caton in the 30. 14th is the 52 of Dave Farella. 15th goes to Nate Coletta in the 5. Then the 9 car, Jeff Barefoot, finishing 16th. 17th, going to the 13 of Jason Wiley. And rounding out the field tonight will be Dalton Powell in the 51. So that will do it here from Darlington. Race number 1 in the books. And you won't want to miss next week as we go to the biggest track on the schedule, Talladega Super Speedway. Anyone could win that. You won't want to miss that. Got to give, of course, a big shout out to all the sponsors here making it happen. That, of course, being BG Graphics, Out of the Woods Craft, Riptide Radio, DTL Custom Graphics, and Leaf Guard. Got to give a big shout out to everyone tuning on in here live here tonight. Thanks again to all your guys' support and all the replay viewers. Of course, the 802 iRacing League and these drivers putting on a great show. Got to give a huge shout out to Premier, partnering up with Turn 3 at the beginning of this year. to work together with some cool Also, be sure to check out Turn 3 Racing Network throughout the week, as we have a lot of great broadcasts, a lot of great series, and of course, covering a lot of great sim racing. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth. Everyone stay safe, have a good one, and we will catch you next Sunday. Everyone, we will see you there. I'm Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.